How's it going, everybody? Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. We're back and we got some good videos for this week, but unfortunately, we got to start with a bit of a stinker. We're going to be talking about Thunderstrike raids and honestly why I think it sucks. There's a lot of reasons why I think it sucks. We're going to get into all of them. I know a lot of you kind of know where I'm heading with this. I can't tell you how many people have messaged me over the weekend just confused. And I'm not talking about your typical everyday Marvel Strike Force whiner. I'm talking about like your diehard strategist being like, wait, this is actually how this is meant to be? And it's really disheartening because I think that there is something that is maybe accidentally sinister going on, but there's absolutely something sinister going on, which is the poisoning of the word difficulty, of the idea of difficult content in Marvel Strike Force, and I think it's really unfortunate. I do have some, I do have some slides prepared. I'm super sick, so sorry if there's some editing where I gotta, stop and go take care of that. But we're gonna get through this because I think this is a topic that is very worth going over. So here are some of the issues I have with the Thunderstrike raids, and I think we're gonna really dial in on the Stormbound Node 3 when it comes to this, because this is the node where this is actually the most egregious. This is the node where I think they slammed everything in and said, if they can get through this, cool. If not, get wrecked. Get absolutely wrecked. The other nodes, I mean, I'm actually going to have some opinions that you may not like about some of the gating for some of these nodes, but it's very, 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 I'm going to say predatory on the third Stormbound node. So we have character gating, we have gear gating, we have faking character stats, we have zero heals forgiveness. This is such a big topic that people have been messaging me over the weekend. Not good. We have the most punishing milestones we have ever experienced in a earn through gameplay event, which is really, really, really unfortunate. All right, moving on. So, character gating. Make no mistake, if you're going to want to try and get through the three Stormbound nodes, you're going to have the Immortal Weapon team ready to go. You could have diamonds on your brimstone, which I did when I first tried this, and make no mistake, one wrong move, you're wiped off the map before you can back out. That happened to me on the first run, on like the pretend run we had last week before the weekend. I just got wiped out. I couldn't do anything. And there was no heals then either, which was like, okay, this is a pretend round, so maybe that's not going to be a thing. But if you don't have the immortal weapons and you have 5 diamonds on all your brimstones, you can still make one wrong mistake and you're instantly done for the entirety of the event. So yes, character gating on the new team feels real bad when we haven't even had 2 of the 3 characters have a free to play release yet. I don't even know if you can consider Lady Bullseye having a free to play release so far, because we had a command center event, but we only got 50 shards for her. So are we now expected to go to the sigil store to get character shards? Because that's something I preach no. Because if you do that, then the next issue we have, gear gating, becomes even more magnified. Right? I don't think you should ever buy characters with the currency store unless it's for an early unlock, which would be cool for this event. Except Swordmaster and Steel Serpent aren't actually available in that store yet. Right? So not only have we not had a free to play release event, do not have access to Swordmaster and Steel Serpent in that sigil store. You could accord these characters, which is how I unlocked them, which is how I was able to partake in the event to its fullest. But that's not good. That immediately disqualifies so many members from the community when you're having what is definitely supposed to be considered a premier event. This is supposed to be the Scourge replacement, and you're just not letting people get into it. And yes, there's different difficulties that have different nodes, so the content's different. But as we're going to discuss, those nodes are meaningless. Because of the way the event is scored, those events are completely meaningless, those nodes rather. So it's really, really bad. And this is the newest team, and with the newest team, they throw on a gear gate on top of it. When we just had 8 out of the last 10 characters, 9 out of the last 11, if you want to include Thunderstrike in that, are mystic characters. The gear tier 20 gate on this, completely unnecessary. As we're going to discuss, the difficulty is the gate here. And then a lot of the mode structure is a completely different gate, a horrible type of gate. But it alone would have disqualified so many players. I guess the silver lining of the gear gate is that you would have had so many more people experiencing the nonsense we're about to talk about had they been able to actually partake in the node. The gear gate is gross. We haven't had enough access to Mystic gear tier in particular because of like the leaderboard events don't have mini uniques on them anymore. But also they just didn't really. The new Annihilation raid gave us like a 20% increase in gear tier 20, but nobody has experienced that yet because they don't have the Immortal team unlocked yet. Because of what we just talked about, this is the new team. Come on. What are we doing? We haven't had an event that's given us a big burst. Yes, if you're like me, and if you're super disciplined in the store, I've been farming Mystic gear since Brimstone, and only Mystic gear. Now I've been dipping into Mutant gear. My sigils only go to that gear tier 20, which is why I was mostly prepared for this. I did not have enough gear tier 20 to do Steel Serpent. I wasn't going to do this for the event, especially after the first run, because I immediately can't get the Awaken passive, which is the only thing that matters to have the full Immortal team done. But then Scotty sent me, like, here's how it would work, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So I ended up buying Mystic Minis for this, even though I'm not going to be able to get the rewards anyway. But nobody else is ready for this unless you are super duper like raid team only focusing those mini uniques. It's just not great. You disqualified so many people with the character gating, and then you're disqualifying so many more, even people who spend money on character unlocks. You disqualify them with the gear gate on 2 back-to-back Mystic teams. It just, that's going to be the majority of the population's complaints when it comes to this event. I have further complaints. I have more in-depth structural complaints when it comes to this event. Starting with faking character stats. On that Stormbound node 3, I actually don't know if it's in the other nodes, because we can handle those with the teams sufficiently enough. But on the Stormbound 3 node, there is the most egregious just faking character stats. And it's pretty disgusting. So if you see here, that speeds, actually, you know what, let's just go into the website real quick. So here we are on the website, let's zoom in. And the first wave, everything's normal. Look, Daemon, 134, Gladiator, 121, Endgame Thanos, 123, Gore, 129, everything's normal. You get to that second wave, Shaw's at 170, North Stars are both at 190, Daemon is at 180, Endgame Thanos is at 166, and they have inflated damage stats as well. Like, it's okay if it's, I guess, one or the other, but it should really only be damage. Like, when you see this power level on a character, it's a red flag, right? Okay, the damage stat and the health hyperinflated, which is why this character is near 4 million powers. I can get behind that in the case that that's like, okay, this is a trap, and we need to be able to analyze that trap and tackle it. And if I only see this power level in game, I can get that picture sort of. I'm like, okay, like something's going on with this Shaw because his power level is off the charts. But the speed stat on top of that is crazy. And here's the thing that hurts my brain the most, and is really, in my opinion, underhanded on the developmental side of this. Part of the Immortal Weapon character's kit is that Lady Bullseye, when she has a certain amount of immortal weapons, she stops speed stat gain. So people are going in with their immortal weapons thinking, oh, I will stop the North Star, because if you don't know this, in raids and war, North Star gets what? Additional speed stat. Immortal weapons turn that off. They think they're going to go in there, and they're at least going to be able to go ahead with their Lady Bullseye, and get an offense down on this character before they get to go. So they do a burn attack. They get through this to a really smart degree, and then these guys are spawning in and instantly killing them. When we get to the next parts of what we're going to talk about, we're going to see how just underhanded and gross that idea is. It's not okay. I once had a conversation with somebody who's really high up on the food chain over there, okay? And he said something that stuck with me to this day. And whenever I'm analyzing, whenever I'm looking over content and seeing if there's merit, if this is just like people are complaining because they're bad, or is there something actually wrong here? This is what I go to. Players need to be able to enter combat and have a reasonable avenue to understand what is about to happen. Players are going in knowing the immortal weapon stop speed stat, knowing North Star's inherent speed stat is 127, And that has been taken away from them. There's no way to know that unless you go onto the website or when you're in the combat itself and then you check their speed stat. But by then it's too late because this is a raid structure and you've now lost the energy. Or perhaps this motherfucker one-shot you because they gave him this is not his real damage stat. This guy is one-shotting teams that have like 5-star immortals that have damage reduction. This is not the right damage stat. Or Shaw's coming in here and he's got nearly 2 million. He's one-shotting you. Like, players have the right to be able to expect the strategy we've learned everywhere else in the game to be applied here. I'm sorry, but it's lazy development. You're cheating in order to get this done. You're cheating to try and make some artificial difficulty, as opposed to having the proper sort of loopholes that players need to work into using the team you're trying to highlight. This is not an immortal weapons highlight. There's aspects of it that certainly are, like all the taunts and all the safeguards you got to break through. Sure, that feeds into the immortal weapons, great. But when you put a freaking cheat code on the enemy side as well, it devalues all of that. We need to be able to expect that the people creating the riddles for us, that they're not having a cheap answer to it. Anyway, you can see I'm very passionate about this because that really stuck with me. Like, players should be able to understand what's going to happen when they hit the fight button. And when you artificially mess with the speed stat, you can't have that. Now, what is the right answer? The right answer is to mess with the turn bar, okay? I know a lot of you are going to hate that. The right answer is that when a wave drops in, they get X turn bar. Maybe they get 30% turn bar when they drop in. Otherwise, you'll just have infinite control over everything because the way a team like the Immortal Weapons work, which we'll talk about, like slow turn meter realize, like North Star stops that. I get that. But generally speaking, you would be able just to control whatever drops in front of you if they drop in with 0% turn bar, because you're going to have some sort built in, right? And if you have infinite energy, which Immortal Weapons do, that becomes a problem. They need to be able to code it, and they have before. We saw this in the Frozen Dimension. They did it both for buffs and for turn bar, okay? Characters, if it's wave 2, and during that same combat sequence, I defeat wave 1, when wave 2 drops in, it can spawn in with 30, 40, even 50% turn bar. That's something that you can strategically play around, right? But if we beat wave 1, the combat ends, and then we load in a new fight, and wave 2 is now the starting wave, they don't get that speed bar. This is something that is important for a strategy game to be able to have that option. We've seen that in Frozen Dimension. We've seen that with these buffs that these characters aren't actually supposed to get. Like when a character spawns in with 4 safeguard and 4 immunity on spawn, the first time you attack that node, but the second time you attack that node, they don't have any of that. We saw that in the, not the negative zone, but the Vigilante Pocket Dimension. We saw that there. They have that technology. How dare you guys not build into that to make one-shotting a node super hard, and instead make a fake speed stat that if somebody comes in here and they beat the first wave thinking they're going to be able to tackle the second wave fresh, they instantly lose out on the entire event because of what we're about to talk about. It's not okay. It's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. Let's continue on. Fake character stats. As you can see, this is probably the thing that I'm most passionate about because this traps you into everything else we're about to talk about later on, especially with the Stormbound Node 3. Zero heals forgiveness. Yeah, so this was from the blog, Healing Your Characters. The enemies are many and determined, so your forces will need patching up. No shit. Healing with power cores is disabled. If you try and heal with power cores, you're going to see it's like 2 billion. It's not the sexiest way to showcase that you can't use cores, but it suffices to show like, hey, like you're not going to have cores for this, okay? You can only heal characters using Thunderstrike health packs, which may be distributed at a later date. Health does not generate overnight. Where the fuck are these health packs, my guys? Because what I was just talking about, how if you beat that first wave, but you spawn to the second wave, they have inflated speed stats, you're just done and you can't progress. Well, there is a reset button on the nodes. I could reset the node and then tackle it, but maybe I'm not at full life, okay? And if I'm not at full life, you know what happens when you go back in? This Daemon one-shots you because this Daemon has 1.6 million damage, okay? So, yes, I could reset the node and start fresh, and then maybe I'd be okay. But without the ability to heal up, that doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't. And so it's just, it blows my mind. And then again, if you have one sort of issue, my friend Scotty, you guys know Scotty, his screen blacked out and the match ran in the background and ended before he could cancel out. His immortals died. We're going to talk about what that means, but he can't heal them up. He's done on the event. That's it. He's done. It's over. There's no way to heal. They didn't put it in the store to purchase. They didn't give us to it in a free claim. They didn't mail us any like they've done before when they make a particularly hard pocket dimension. When we had that Vigilante pocket dimension, they mailed us some. That's what you're supposed to do for these events. You can't have a zero heals forgiveness, especially when the structure of it is raid structure. Okay? We have a certain amount of energy allotted for the time of this event. It's just, and the first one was over the weekend where you guys are out of the office. Like, come on. How is this not something that is thought ahead of time? How is this not caught in QA? Moving on. The most punishing milestone ever. All right. I just talked about how Scotty had a black screen. Now his immortal is dead. He's done for the event, guys. That's it. You can no longer get that Thunderstrike Awakened passive at that point because you need 18,000 points on the dot for it. You get exactly 6,000 of these points if you beat every single node on the Thunderstrike difficulty. There is no forgiveness. It could be 17,000 so you could lose it once and learn it and then you tackle the next raids. It could even be 16,000 because you wouldn't be able to hit that unless you beat that Stormbound node 3 at least once. And that node is so tough, it has so many traps, it warrants giving that sort of forgiveness. Instead, they give a bunch, actually let's go in game again. They give a bunch of bullshit rewards in between that, which makes absolutely no sense. So 14,000, I believe, is where you get if you can't do the, or I guess 15,000 is where you get if you can't do the Stormbound Node 3, and there's just nothing in between that whatsoever. And let's be real, these are garbage. They're okay. The ISO 4 is okay, but it's not 5. So none of this is really worth going for. If you can't get to the 18,000, chill and do just to the milestone 15. To the 12,000. Ignore Stormbound Node 2, which you need immortal weapons for, and ignore Stormbound Node 3 because they are crafted in such a way to create a frustrating environment as opposed to a strategic environment. All right? It really boggles my mind how you can have 0 heals, have trap stats, and have the least wiggle room, the least interesting milestone chart ever. Okay? And then you talk about like, okay, well, you could drop the difficulty down. If you drop the difficulty down, you're getting 10 points, okay? You're getting 10 points. So if I can do all the nodes except for the Stormbound nodes, I can get 12,000. What is doing the 2 Stormbound nodes in difficulty 1 get me? 20 points times 3 because there's 3 raids, 60. No difference there. Those nodes just become like a check mark that I have to beat, and they're not free on the lower difficulty either. For what it's worth, if you're just like a chill casual player, like you can absolutely get to 6,000 points if you do the first 2 nodes, which is gear tier 19. You can do those as long as you have your Brimstone at gear tier 19. You 100% can. So you can at least get the 3-star Thunderstrike, which is less than the 4 red star Quasar we got for his first Scourge event. But let's talk about these rewards for a second because there is something interesting here, and this shows the bones of what should be difficult content with a really nice reward at the end. Right? This is the first run. Getting the 7 red star Thunderstrike. I got on the first blaster run. I think it was up to 7 stars. Maybe it was 5 red stars, 7 yellow. Either way, I got the max because I went super hard on it. Top 250, right? You could get a 7 red star Thunderstrike here. I think I have him at 6 yellow stars right now. I'm not sure where that 7th yellow star comes from. I guess because I didn't buy the immortals, I missed out on some of those feats. Fine, right? So you could get the 7 red star Thunderstrike here, which is much better than you could have got for Quasar in his first run. Thunderstrike's not Quasar. Thunderstrike is not a good character. He is a sidekick to Blastar who, without his Awaken abilities, isn't worthy to be on Blastar's team. Right? So if you cannot get the Thunderstrike passive, you can't go ahead and tackle like a Fantastic Four team because you're not stopping their speed stat. You need to bring like Emma X with your Blaster instead, or Fantastic Four with your Blaster instead. He doesn't stop speed bar gains if he doesn't have that Awakened passive. So you're not going to go and you're not going to tackle, I don't know, Starjammers. You're not going to tackle an Azazel, a cursed version, right? There, okay, let's just continue. Let's just continue on. So this is like the luxury carrot, which is why I say, okay, if it's difficult content and it's got a really good reward, I think that is the right formula for the game going forward. But because of some of the things we've talked about to this point, that's what I mean when I say it's poisoning the difficulty of the game. And I really, really mean that. The poisoning of the word difficulty when it comes to Marvel Strike Force. And I think the null boss fight is another great example. The null boss fight that we recently did, it's not a difficult fight. It's an impossible fight. We had a gimmick, Health Steal, that we leaned into to beat it. In fact, there was an even bigger kind of a game exploit where if you ended with Quasar, did a basic and just let it time out because they had to put a timer on it. Then you could beat it with just one character, right? But that's a gimmick. That's a bug. That's an exploit. The null kit is not interesting to fight. It's not difficult to fight. There's no strategizing against it. It's suffocating, which is exactly what the last Stormbound node is here, which is the gate to the milestones. It 100% is. It's also the gate to go hit that final boss. I haven't touched the fucking final boss, guys. I haven't. I will today, I guess. So like if I go in here, and let me scroll up. Like I beat the node now. I used Scotty's strategy once he informed me of it, and I was able to beat it. Can I actually scroll out here? This is gonna drive me crazy. All right. I will fight the boss, but so many people in my alliance will not touch this boss on this run. Now, this event is going to run at least 2 more times. I think it's going to be like the Quasar Scourge, where it runs 3 times, right? So maybe we'll be able to get up there and touch it. But this boss looks fun, and this boss is just for like a couple purple crystals, purple ISO crystals, and for a frame, right? So it's kind of a luxury thing. It's like a bragging rights thing. My alliance is not a new alliance. My alliance is not a baby alliance. My alliance has a lot of spenders in it, a lot of big spenders. And a lot of them aren't even going to be able to touch this node, which is a shame because this node looks like a boss node that needs collaboration. This node looks like exactly what I've missed from the raid feature for a long time, since like Ultimus 5. I miss that. But so many people are not going to experience it because of this node. Now, I did beat this node. I did timeout, which is Gladiator left, which is pretty annoying. But I've done enough core resets that I don't want to fuck with it anymore. I tried, guys, I'm sorry. I tried so much to get you a better solution to this. I tried with not Serpent Steel. I used so many cores. I tried with not OG Iron Fist because of his Mystic Claws being 100 Mystic pieces and people not really wanting to stomach that. I tried without Iron Fist World War II, and I couldn't get that done either. And so, yeah, let's go back to the slides here. The poisoning of the word difficulty. This is Node 8 right now. Okay? If you want to know how to beat this, I can walk you through it. But as we're going to see, the steps that go into this, the amount of learning that had to be done here, it's not fostered properly in a raid environment. It's 100% not fostered properly when we talk about like the healing aspect of this. When we talk about the gear gating, you can see the Daemon almost one-shot my characters. By the way, all those 3 new characters are 3-star. Maybe Bullseye's 5-star. I think I actually pulled a pity 100 drop on her. The other are 3-star though. It's not fostered properly in this game mode to go into that. But I can still walk you through it. Maybe this will help you in month 2 and month 3. You want to take away all the different taunts across the field. So I start by removing the taunts on the Ares, and then I turn my attention to the Thanos. The reason I do that is because I don't want to get that Lady Bullseye damage on those Thanos until I can make sure I can get offense on them. Now, Lady Bullseye ult does do that, but I wanted to make sure the defense down, the strips, all that from her first attack. I threw that on the Ares. Then I turned my attention to the endgame Thanos, and away we go. So now they have trauma. They have offense down. It means their passive is going to hit a lot less hard. Doesn't mean their passive is not going to hit hard, though. Right? So they both have offense down here. They both get pushed. We get knocked really low. If you had much higher stars on your mortal weapons, you're going to take this hit a lot better. But if you don't have Iron Fist World War II or OG Iron Fist on your team, like, you're not going to heal up through this. So you need to have those characters. Thunderstrike is good with his special. I made my Thunderstrike a healer, not here, but on other attempts, and that certainly helped. Now, I'm making a lot of game time decisions here. It's going so fast. At the end of the day, my argument is going to be, this is Scourge content. This is not raid content. This should not be gated behind gear tier 20. Because as you see, if my characters are gear tier 19, there's so many moments where they would die where that sort of window to win shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. So instead of getting a explicit gear gate, you get an implicit gear gate. I think those are the right words. I think I said that right properly. Make the difficulty, make the damage traps, make that the obstacle, make those the hurdles. Don't just write it in that you can't even try the content. All right. And then, yeah, people are going to bitch that you put 2 endgame Thanos slave node because, yeah, you shouldn't do that. This is so played out. It is so played out. Seeing endgame Thanos on any PvE node that is meant to give us problems, we can just see it's the endgame Thanos node. We just fucking know it now. I'm so tired of this guy. It's not fun to play around that. Okay. All right. We're moving on. But as I can see here, this is kind of where I want my first attack to end. I want the endgame Thanoses to either be dead or to be below the 50% health threshold so that they can't do more damage to me. Or sorry, so that they won't activate their passive once again. So it's Steel Serpent's turn. I see that, hey, this left side is about to take some turns. I actually have a turn meter rewind. So instead of killing the endgame Thanos and leaving it, because then I'm going to be at 50% health, which if I left this at 50% health, the Daemon one-shots me when I come back into the node. You can't leave yourself low like this, right? So I rewind over here. I make sure I get another heal from one of my characters, as one being the Iron Fist passive. And then I finish off the endgame Thanos. And I think this is actually where I leave the node. I don't do the ultimate because I want to make sure I have energy. I know Lady Bullseye gives energy, but I just want to be careful. And this is where I'm going to leave. I'm going to not retreat, leave. Oh God, this is another thing we have to talk about. The amount of people who accidentally, a dozen very smart, very strategic players have messaged me. I was about to lose. I had lost characters. I went to retreat, and on accident, I hit the wrong button. There's no heals. They're just done at that point. They hit this lose battle instead of retreat. Their event is done. There's no more consideration for the awakening ability for them because there's no heals. Like, a lot of people had said, like, if they made it so when you hit the reset node button, it would also reset your team. I agree that that would be a decent enough compromise, but also just have fucking heals for your game mode. Why is that so hard to ask? It's crazy. So I know this video is going long. We're going to wrap it up when we finish just going over this node. So this is where I hit the lose battle button. It's going to save progress, and then I go back in. So I went back in with Thunderstrike, and here you can see the Daemon's going to go first here. So if I had left these characters at 50% life, what would have happened here? They would have been dead. And then I cored for energy for this video for you. Even if I didn't use cores, I exhausted every single free energy I got. And you do get extra energy that you need for this raid. Of course you do. They give you a 48-hour timer, and there's only like 6 nodes if you're not doing the boss nodes, right? 7, 8, 9 if you are, I guess, assuming you're going to one-shot the first 2 boss nodes. Anyway, so I come back in here, but I don't have Iron Fist. We have a lot of cool tools on the Immortal Weapons team. A lot. We have cooldown reduction, buff reduction on Lady Bullseye, Steel Serpent, and Swordmaster. The ultimate from Bullseye and Steel Serpent, the special from Swordmaster. So they load this node up with taunts, which is fine, fair enough, because we have ways to get around it. But then they do Sasquatch, which, as you guys know, he's got to be at 75% life if you actually want that buff strip to stick. That's fine. And they do that to protect their trap cards, being the Shaw and being the North Star. One thing I find disgusting about this, because we are feeding into some of the things that make Immortal Weapons special. That buff strip you just saw, right? Steel Serpent's main gimmick is slow, and it's turn meter rewind. You can't do that to the Alpha Flight characters. That's part of North Star's raid abilities. All right? And you can't gain speed bar. Like, it's okay to put a hard counter to the team, especially when it comes in a wave 2. Yeah, by the way, that was an offense down Shaw that just one-shot people. Can we just get a replay on that? So what health am I at? So he's at like 40%. His offense down. Yeah, just no problem. No problem. Again, this is prime example. Like, gear tier 20 requirement is not needed Because you put a damage stat that even if I have offense down this person, so I properly debuff this person, I can still get absolutely fucked, right? Back to North Star. I have a team. They have their strengths. You've limited their strengths. You put a crazy amount of taunters, but not just taunters. Active health trigger taunters, right? Panda pools will get a taunt if they get knocked below 50% life. The Sasquatches will get a taunt if they're above 75% life on any turn. The amount of shenanigans that go into that, plus not being able to control the North Star's speed bar the way the Immortal Weapons team is designed to control speed bar, plus inflating their speed stat, plus giving them a crazy damage stat. This is all the makings of, I didn't build this content to give you a riddle. I built this content to kill you. And how do you get through this? You overpower it with stars. You can absolutely overpower this with stars. I'm going to beat the node. You're going to kind of see me beat the node here. I just think we can do better. I think we can do far better. I know I'm being very rough here. If whoever designed this, I'm sorry if you think I'm being over the top. If we disagree, we could definitely have a conversation. I think there's better ways to do this. I think that aspects of this node are great. I think that they really build into the strategy that you can employ, because if the node just allows the Immortal team to do everything they want to do all the time, then it's going to be a cakewalk. You're going to blow over it. So there's aspects to things that I'm complaining about here that can be kept in 100%. But when you put all of it in, that's when it becomes a problem. Okay, so what you see I did here, I took out Thunderstrike. He's not good. Iron Fist World War II, well, he's okay in this game. But Iron Fist World War II is so much better for this node because of the stun. Because of all the energy this team gets from the Swordmaster. He's just so much better for this node. He has better AoE damage. You're obviously going to have him bigger. If you have him at Gear 20, I'm assuming you have diamonds on him as well, right? The stun, the heals, the extension of buffs is huge. So what you see I do here is I'm able to extend my speed up and my defense down with Iron Fist World War II. So although I can't get to these North Stars in time, I'm going to tank their hits. What I'm not going to tank is a Shaw here in a second, as you're about to see. Anyway, so you can see what ends up happening here. We do that first burn attack. I should have just used Iron Fist World War II there. You can use Thunderstrike if you want, I guess. But Iron Fist World War II, the whole team is much, much, much better to actually beat this. All right, so now that I have defense up and I have the safeguard, I'm actually able to tank some of these hits. And if I'm lucky enough, I will try and get charges by taking out these North Stars and getting a kill with Iron Fist's ultimate. But here, look, I tanked their hits. That's the trick to get through this node. You got to do the burn attack so that you can actually have safeguards still up when the North Stars do their turn. You're not going to burn through it in time. You're just not. Even though that's what Immortal Weapons wants to do, they want to burn through buffs because of the speed stat on the North Stars, because they're immune to slow, because they cannot be turn meter rewound in raids. You just have to be able to tank it. You have to be able to get safeguard and defense up. You do that with the Iron Fists on your team and the 3 new characters. It is what it is. We're about to see Shaw one-shot my Steel Serpent here. He's he's free Cord. Cord unlocked him, right? He's 3 red stars. He has defense up. The Shaw has offense down. I think it's about to happen right here, if I'm not mistaken. I'm stuck on the Panda, so I can't go stun the Shaw. That's what Iron Fist World War II wants to do. I think it's about to happen. I could be wrong. I go for the turn meter rewind here. Like, if you get a kill, it's supposed to do a turn meter rewind, but I think the North Star passive sticks. Yeah, there's the one shot. Fun. But see, I would be okay with the Shaw one-shotting me like that, because that's a trap. That's a trap that I had to answer all the riddles that came before that guy to make sure that doesn't happen to me, right? But the way the trap was set, the way all the hurdles that came before it, a lot of it was cheating. A lot of it was cheating, which is really annoying. But anyway, you can see here, I'm going to get through this node. At this point, we're going to be able to take all the buffs off, and we're going to be able to go from there. The problem, of course, would be that without heals, I can't help on the boss node too much now. I mean, I could. I just wouldn't be able to bring Steel Serpent because there's no healing. I'd put Thunderstrike in over him if that was the case. Fortunately for me, I don't have to worry about that. I'm checking some of the stats here. I'm checking against that. I'm doing my strategic thing. Oh, he's got 1.5 million damage. I'm not going to push him until I can get offense down at him. I'm actually going to wait. I'm going to try and kill all the other characters first. I'm doing a good job. I still have 45 seconds. Lots of time on the clock. I'm good. No buzzer beater needed here. We're going to be fine. Guess I'm going to do it again. As you guys saw, I did go in and do it again. All my characters are alive now. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You did see that my Iron Fist Roller 2 got revived there. But anyway, or sorry, my Steel Serpent got revived there. Regardless, I'm very passionate about like the poisoning of difficulty. The null fight, if you didn't do the gimmick and you tried to do a lower difficulty, you still felt how ridiculous and smothering his kit was. And the same thing on that Stormbound Node 3, ridiculous and smothering. And the event, at the end of the day, like, you have to use Thunderstrike on the boss, but fucking Thunder who, my guys? Thunder who? This guy is not getting play in Crucible with Blastar. This guy is getting benched on the Thunderbound node because you made it to the point where the only thing I could do to control enemies is slow. Blind doesn't work on these guys because they have a lot of unavoidable attacks, including the Shaws, right? So that's what Homie could bring in, Thunderstrike, but you literally can't do that in this node. I understand that because this Annihilus team is supposed to be forming this sort of a Megazord, that's the intention, is probably that not every single one of these guys can be absolute gangbusters, like god tier level characters. Quasar is a god tier level character in all modes. That 129 speed stat, percentage damage, defense down, offense down, and slow on his special. In his game mode, obviously, his ultimate is absolutely cracked as well. Like, he's a god tier character, and his special is a low cooldown as well. Blastar, if he has access to his game, if he has access to speed bar and speed stat, which in his own game mode, typically he can get that taken away from him. He's also just an amazing character. Like, we tunnel onto teams that don't control Blastar so that he can be that god tier character. So I kind of felt like the third character was not going to be nearly as good. I didn't think it was going to be nearly as bad as this, though. Like, he's not getting play. Now, let's go into game here for a second as well. And just to understand the limits when this guy doesn't have his Awaken abilities. Let's go over that. So when he does not have his Awaken ability, this is what he's missing. So if Blaster is an ally until this character takes turn, enemies cannot fill speed bar for themselves, allies, or enemies. In Crucible, Blaster is an ally, enemies cannot have their speed or resistance increased except by positive effects. Well, what's this resistance thing? This is probably a new team coming to the game that's going to be stopping resist or giving themselves extra resistance, just like Cosmic Ghost Rider did, where Thunderstrike and Blaster are going to be the built-in solution to that. But many people are not going to have this because that Stormbound Node 3 is kind of bullshit. All right, I'd be very curious. Actually, I'm at 10. This is so hard to tell because there's still, like, for a lot of people, there's still like 24 hours plus left on their second run. There's a lot of people sitting up here, though. There's a lot of people sitting at 10K, which to me is awkward. How many people have actually beat all 6 nodes twice? So 12,000, probably the top 100, right? All top 100 got it done. Oh, no. 95. Top 100 are going to get it done for sure. It doesn't feel like it's enough for me. I feel like, again, yes, because there's so much time left on the event, like a lot of more people are going to trickle in here for sure. But again, you only need to technically do 6 or 8 nodes, and we get 80 energy by the time the event starts if you finish it like 12 hours before the new one starts, right? So in my opinion, I should see a lot more, because there's a lot of diehard strategist players in Marvel Strike Force. I should see a lot more than 100 people having this 12,000 number done. And that to me is a shame. This video went way too long. I'm sorry if it got rambly. I'm sorry if parts of it didn't make sense. I think this topic is something I don't want to refilm because I don't want to miss anything that's important that I might have brought up during the video. Anyways, let me know if there's anything I missed, guys. Let me know if there's anything that you would like added to this. I do think the developers will probably going to see this video or at least see aspects of it. I don't want the word difficulty and the idea of difficult content to be something that Marvel Strike Force can't lean into. But this and the null fight, that's not difficult. It's smothering, and it's like playing against somebody who's hacking. because that's, I mean, PvE, you are kind of playing against the developers, right? You're trying to, but here's the thing, they shouldn't be trying to beat you. They should be trying to engage with you. Like, they're, okay, here's like a really weird analogy. This is what I would think as a developer. I'm dad, you're my kid, and we're playing tag. Sometimes I'm going to tag you, and you're going to be it. And you may not like that, but it's important that I teach you how to come over adversity, right? And I'm going to run away. And I'm not just going to stand there and let you tag me. It's not going to be that easy. I'm going to run, but I will slow down at moments when I feel like you've earned it. When I feel like you've put in the work, you're trying, you're getting that exercise in, I am going to let you tag me. Because that's my job, is to play with you, teach you what it means to lose, and teach you what you need to do to win. And it doesn't feel like that has been what's happened in our last two difficult events. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Hope this video found you well. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, have yourselves a wonderful day. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye for now.